qu'on va faire, parce qu'il va falloir qu'on change de statut pour notre association. Si on ne change pas de statut, on ne peut pas faire quoi. Donc, la dame, elle travaille, elle est la présidente de l'association des Ghanéens à Milton Keynes. Elle travaille au council et elle est venue pour nous faire la présentation. Et donc, elle est là. Donc, soyons attentifs parce qu'elle va faire un exposé de 30 à 40 minutes. Puis, on va lui poser... Sister Jones, thank you so much for coming this evening to just expose everything to us. And then from there, we'll just discuss and take our own decision which way to go. I really appreciate your effort to join us tonight. This is Mr. Vincent, is the secretary. He's just recording for those who are not here because some of them has gone to London. Some of them are doing things, they can't join us. Some of them will join us later on. Please, I'm just leaving the word to you now to start it.
Okay. All right. So, bonsoir, mon ami, mademoiselle, everyone. My French is so bad. Forgive me.
That's fine.
Yes. I happen to live with Ivorians from my childhood, from the borders of Sampa and Bondugu. So those of you that know Bondugu. Yeah. Yes, yeah, but unfortunately, I think I learned a bit of the Jura language than the French itself. So.
Oh, that's okay. There is a lot. I think there is.
I've forgotten all.
I thought you remember.
And I need to start learning Jura again and French. Yeah. So yeah.
Don't worry. You're not going to use it here. Are you going to use it here? No. Forget it.
Yeah, so thank you once again, Mr. Chair, for inviting me. And Mr. Vincent, if I'm going too fast, please just remind me to slow down a bit. Okay. So, and thank you everyone for taking time out in this festive season of our Lord. Happy Easter to everyone as well.
Thank you.
As Mr. President have said, I'm Tina Latifa Jones. I've lived in Milton Keynes for 26 years and still learning about things in Milton Keynes. Yeah, I used to live in London before I moved down here. I love Milton Keynes to bits. I can't see myself living anywhere else in the UK but MK. Yes, so throughout that time, I have been involved in a number of charitable organizations and also community groups. I'm currently the current chair of the Association of Ghanaians in Milton Keynes. It has been around since 1997, and in 2016, with majority vote at an election, we agreed to become a charitable UK registered charity. I also set up my own charity back in 2007, supporting people living with HIV and other bloodborne viruses. We were funded by the local authority for about 5-6 years. The charity is 14 years this year. We provide services both in the UK and in Ghana. So I've been in the third sector for quite some time now. I'm currently running my own business and I'm a social worker by profession. I'm a foster carer as well. So I wear so many different hats and all within government and the charity setting. So I was asked to come in today to explain the different types of regulatory bodies and how you could potentially register under perhaps one or two of the different regulatory bodies. So my understanding at the moment is that you are a community group. You don't have any official registration. Your main aims and objectives is supporting each other in different ways at the moment, correct me if I'm wrong, the main benefit is probably to do with when there is a bereavement or a significant event, maybe wedding or birth of a child or something, and then there's contribution that goes to the member. And my understanding is that is how it is at the moment. But of course, you want to look into different ways of registering, and there are different reasons why you would want to register under different categories. But also there are advantages and there are disadvantages. So I will start with what you would call the company limited by guarantee. So that is where I think most companies falls under. And then with company limited by guarantee, you can literally sign up now. It will take like 10, 15 minutes, as long as you've got two people as directors, or one director, one secretary. You can register as a company limited by guarantee. With the company limited by guarantee, it is usually good if you know your organization are going to be employing people and you are going to be paying taxes to HMRC. So it is very formal, and usually the main advantage for this is if the group will be employing staff to deliver specific services. So for example, you've decided to employ a full-time secretary and maybe a welfare officer. So that is where the staff members, you will need to pay their PAYE, the taxes, the national insurance, and all of that. You can only do that by registering as a company limited by guarantee, or if it's a much bigger one, then you could look at the PLCs and all of that. It doesn't cost a lot to register. I think it's less than £50 or even less. And then every year you complete what they call an annual return, which is £13 per year for the annual return. But for the company, you will also have to register with HMRC, like I said. So you have to pay corporation tax depending on how much your income is coming, the income and then the expenditure. So after you have paid the staff their income tax, you also have to pay corporation tax depending on how much you have left. So that is a little bit about the company limited by guarantee. And then you have what we call community interest company. You may hear the word KIC around, CIC. It is a form of a social enterprise. With community interest company, the directors can also be employees. You can bid for contracts, just like the company limited. You can bid for contracts, you can actually provide services, and you can charge for services, the same as a company limited by guarantee. You can charge for your services. So for example, the secretary has been employed and lots of members need to see the secretary for some form of administrative duties and things. You can charge members a fee for that services to take effect. So that is both under company limited by guarantee and under community interest company. The difference with community interest company, it is almost like a halfway house between company limited by guarantee and charity. Because the idea of community interest company is for the directors to be employees. So the directors are able to pay themselves, but also you are able to apply for funding like most charity organizations will do. So you can apply for funding. You can also charge for services. The main disadvantage for community interest company is that a lot of funding organizations do not really favor this form of registration as their preferred beneficiaries. mainly because there has been some mismanagement and malpractices where they felt the directors just acquired the money and they pay themselves, and only small amount of it goes to the public benefit. It is also expected under CIC that around 60% of the profit will be reinvested in the company or in the CIC. So for example, with the company limited by guarantee, it is your company, you charge for services, you get your money, whatever profits you get is for the company, but you pay corporation tax. With community interest company, because it's a social enterprise, directors can pay themselves. However, whatever profit you make, so say for an argument's sake, at the end of the year, you've got £10,000 profit. That £10,000 profit, £6,000 is expected to be reinvested back into the organization. So that is the caveat there. The third one is what a lot of us know, the charity status. Even within the charity status, there are 2 or 3, potentially 4 different categories. But for the benefit of your organization, what we usually say is the incorporated charity status, where you will have a memorandum and article of association, which is a template that you can actually get from the Charity Commission. So with a charity status, you have to go onto the Charity Commission's website, and you have to look at the different memorandum of association and what they call the constitutions. And then you have to look into different categories to see what suits your organization best. Because under some of the charity status, you will not be able to own a land or to employ and other things like that. Some charity status, which is the incorporated one that I'm going to talk more about, because both of the organizations I set up was under this, and one of them is very similar to your group, the Association of Ghanaians. So with the charity status, one of the, I'll say the greatest advantage for any group for registering as a charity under the Charity Commission is that once you have been successful, you can do it yourself if you have accountants or people that are really good with the tax system and stuff like that. You can do it yourself, and whatever donation, again, you will not be paying dues, it will be donations. So whatever donations that come into your bank account, you will get 25p per pound from the government to support the services that you are providing. So it is very important that members still continue to provide, to donate to the organization. A lot of the time, when, especially African groups, when we hear about charity, a lot of the people that are part of the charity stop giving money to the charity, thinking that the government will give you money, you go and collect funding, and so people stop donating. So when you stop donating, then less money coming, because you have to donate for the government to give you that 25p per pound. A lot of the time you would not pay any tax on your income because it's for charitable purposes. Now, one of the challenges a lot of organizations face, and is a mandatory for the Charity Commission, is that they want to know why you want to register as a charity, and how is the general public going to benefit from that charity. This falls under what we call the Equality Law 2010, which has 9 protective characteristics, including race, age, belief, religion, gender, transgender, pregnancy, 9 protective characteristics. What they're trying to say is that your organization must be able to provide for all people within these categories. So you have to be inclusive. And also you have to evidence how people that you want to support will be able to be supported without any discrimination. So this is where the challenge comes in with people that are paying their dues with the hope that the charity can give you some money back when something happens to you. So when you register under this charitable status, your group will not be able to take money from the bank account like cash to say, for example, Brother Vincent, there has been a significant event in your life. So the charity account, we have given you, say, 200, 300. You will not be able to do that because it will be against the charitable law to do that. However, when there is a significant event that happens to a member, all of you can still contribute something from your own pocket, not from the charity account, from your own individual pockets, and then put it together and give it to that individual. And it shouldn't be because they have donated, because again, that will be seen as discrimination, because there are people that may not be able to afford to, donate. Maybe this year, some people could not donate. Doesn't mean that they have had a significant event and so you cannot support. So that is the main challenge with charity status. However, there are lots of advantages. And the advantages will be dependent on how your organization would like to move forward. So a lot of services can be provided for free. So for example, if you are able to apply for funding, let's say a number of you may have some legal problems and issues, then you could look into getting a lawyer to provide a pro bono work, which is free work. And a lot of firms do that to registered charities. So for example, my charity that supports people living with HIV and mental health problems, when we have some people that have immigration problem, for example, as you know, legal aid is almost non-existent now. So we are able to get some immigration lawyers that are able to take on some of the cases as pro bono, as free, so that they can support the individual. Another area of service as well. So if you come together and you feel the community needs some specific training, for example, the charity can apply for funding from a funding group like Community Foundation, like the Big Lottery Fund and all of that. You can apply for specific funding. I mean, the Big Lottery, they give the minimum is £10,000. And then you can use that to purchase or to pay for a resource person, a trainer who can come in and provide you that training, and then you pay that trainer. So there are lots of ways that you can still benefit without actually getting cash in your hands, if I could put it that way. All of these regulations or registration categories, you must have your policies. So the main policies are the safeguarding, because there are adults among you, there are children among you. So you have to have the safeguarding for children, you have to have safeguarding for adults, you have to have the equality and diversity inclusion policy. If you're going to be employing people, you have to have a safer recruitment policy. I mean, all the usual standard policies that most companies or charities will have, especially when you want to apply for funding. A lot of funding organizations will be requesting for some of those basic policies, especially the safeguarding and equality, to make sure that you are an inclusive organization and you take everybody's lives very seriously and you understand the risk and child protection or adult protection. and also you have undertaken those trainings. So some of the executives or the trustees will have to undertake some of these training courses as well. I think I have spoken quite a bit, so I will just check to make sure if anybody has any burning questions that they want to ask me before I move on. Sorry.
Do I want to ask a question?
Yes, sure.
Who is that? Who want to ask a question? Who want to ask a question? I can unmute to you. I think no one want to ask questions, so you can carry on, please.
Okay. So again, within the charity, of course, we are all immigrants. And I'm sure some of you are also thinking, okay, so if we become charity, we want to do something back home. How can we also help people from back home? Again, under charity registration, you'll be able to apply for international funding. And a lot of international funding organizations can provide funding from 10,000, 50,000, all the way up to millions, depending on the services or the project that you want to do. The UK International Aid, which is, I think is called UKAID, they have priorities set up for every year, what they want to see in what we call developed countries or developing countries or poor countries. So some of them is about eradication of poverty. Some of them is about family planning, child protection or child slavery, you know, preventing child slavery, reducing HIV, mental health, all of these things. So if it's something that your group is also interested, then under the charity registration, you will be able to apply for some of this international funding, and then you can decide what project, well, you have to decide the project first before you get the funding, and then you can be doing some work in different parts of the Ivory Coast. Yeah. Under charity registration as well, you will be able to do a number of collaboration work or partnership work, because the government is really encouraging groups to come together to work together. So when you have that registration, you are able to also work in partnership with similar organizations and apply for funding together and be able to actually deliver different services within your communities and beyond. Yeah. So I think this is really the summary I can give. So at the moment, I don't know, like the president said, this is like an information session for you to start thinking about it and then make a decision on which way you are going to go with. Yeah, so far, how does it sound like?
Yeah, it sounds good. So, yeah, it sounds good. So, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, sure.
So, according to your experience and what you have done so far in the past, what can you suggest to us? We can maybe register for our group here.
I'll have to. Are you looking to charge for your services?
At the moment, we are, but
I think at the moment, Sister Joe, we are in limbo. We haven't decided where to go, but according to the whatever you said, we are going to think about it. But if it was me, if it was my own view, I think we'll go for the third one, a charity, which is quite good because we can apply for international funding. But in that case, we need to put our policy in place, not to discriminate anybody, which is quite something that we have to work on it. That's my own point of view. But first of all, you talked about company limited by guarantee.
Yeah.
which is the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But that one, we need to pay the directors and the secretary. And we have to just think about the annual return, the corporation tax, and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one, which is just a community interest company. Also, we need to do some work. We need to invest our profits and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Honestly, thank you very much for the exposure. But we are going to just discuss among us and see which option to take.
Yeah, I mean, if I could just say something under the first one, the company limited by guarantee, you pay the employees. You can have companies that the directors don't pay themselves until they make enough money. But if you are employing anybody, obviously you have to pay the employees to do the job. So that is the main thing. But also, once you register, if you do choose to register under charity, at some point when you start getting big funding and you need to employ people to do some services. So for example, you've applied for the big lottery fund to have a part-time administrator to help with certain administrative things and maybe your social media and all of that. You will then have to register as a company limited by guarantee so that you can pay employees, which is why when I said earlier, you as an entity will be able to register with either one or two at the same time. So you can register as a charity to start with, and then if you need to employ people, then you register the company limited by guarantee.
That's right.
With the charity status as well, one of the requirements is to have a minimum of £5,000 annual return. And you also have to evidence that at the moment, let's say the executives are actually taking minutes of your meetings. And then you also have to evidence some of your events and activities that you have done in the community that makes you feel you are doing charitable activities and you want to carry on and expand in that field. So I don't know whether you have any specific, maybe Ivorian Independence Day, for example, if you do any activities. Is it in the summer? What month is the Ivorian
August.
Perfect. So it's summertime. So if you do some barbecue, some picnics, you go to the seaside, or maybe you choose to even help some homeless people on the streets and all of that, you can document all of that. Although it's an Ivorian group, what the government will also want to see is that, okay, you are helping Ivorians, but what about the community you live in?
That's right.
You know, so you could choose to maybe do some donation, do some fundraising events, and maybe donate to the Willing Hospice, for example, you know, the Milton Keynes Hospital Foundation Trust or homeless unit. They've just opened a new bus shelter. So as you are thinking about the aims and objectives to support your group, you have to think about what else you can do for the general public, which is what the charity calls the charitable benefit. You know, what is the public benefit as a charity? So you think about something that the Milton Keynes community can also benefit as a result of your service. And also in terms of your, if I should say your beneficiaries, I don't want to say your members, because members means that there is a strict criteria, which in most cases include payment of dues or subscription. When you become a charity, you cannot force anyone to pay a subscription, because a charity status means that you have to be able to help people who cannot afford your service. So this is where you have to look at how you are going to support people.
That's right.
And also, you are in Milton Keynes, you have to look whether is going to be just for Milton Keynes or for Buckinghamshire. I mean, Buckinghamshire is a big county. So if there aren't any other Ivorian communities in Buckingham or where was Aylesbury or something like that, you could look into having it as Ivorian Community Buckinghamshire, but your office is based in Milton Keynes. And then you can look at the beneficiaries could be either all Ivorians living in Milton Keynes and or working in Milton Keynes. So you can live in Milton Keynes, work in Milton Keynes, and you could be a beneficiary. Or you live outside of Milton Keynes, but you work in Milton Keynes. That will also warrant you as a beneficiary. Or you could also have friends of the Ivorian community. So I am not Ivorian, but I have a connection, I have a passion with Ivorians. So I could be friends of the Ivorian community. And if I need some services, I could come to you and I would expect you to be able to support me. You could also look at having like sponsors or investor, different ways where people could also support you financially or provide you services without, asking for payment. Because a lot of organizations try to do something for charities under what you call the corporate social responsibility, CSR. So you can approach big corporations and say, you know what, as part of your CSR, we know we have X number of Ivorians working for you, for example, and we are doing this and that, and we would like your organization to help, or we would like your organization to come to this particular event to support. And sometimes they will come and help, or they will even donate something they could support with something that, that could be of great benefit to your group. Yeah.
I would like to ask, can I have a question, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So my name is Gabriel. I would like to thank, I can't see her name anymore.
Sorry, Tina.
for sharing this very helpful information. And so, as I said, I have two questions. The first one is about the community interest company.
Yeah.
Can you confirm that as the company interest company, we can apply, we can benefit from any public funds?
Yes, with a community interest company, you could benefit. However, it is quite restricted. And in some cases, if the competition is very high, you would notice that the charitable registered organizations tend to get the bigger share, purely because of what are some of the things I discussed earlier. With community interest companies, the directors are employees as well, and they are allowed to pay themselves and also, get some benefit from the organization, although you are expected to reinvest 60% of your annual turnover back into the organization.
Okay.
And it's also seen as a social enterprise. So there are some small, medium-sized companies or small, medium-sized enterprises that could give like grants or small loans to businesses, because it's seen as a SMEs, so small, medium-sized scale organization. So you can get some grants and loans that way as well. So that is the cake, yeah.
Okay, as you said, we have to invest. If we go for the community interest company, we are obliged to invest. You say 60%. 60% of what?
60% of your profit back into
the profit. Okay.
Organization.
Okay. Does it matter where we should invest that money? Can we invest abroad? Can we invest in any business? Is any restriction?
There are some restrictions, so you can look more into it if you do decide to go that direction, but you cannot invest abroad. It will have to, because the company is registered here.
Okay.
And your beneficiaries are here. So you have to reinvest here.
Okay, so my second question, is it possible, is there any way we can just apply for both status? I mean, the community interest company and the charity company. I mean, the charity status. Like we go to branches. Is that possible?
Yeah, it's possible.
No, you'll be pulling yourself out a bit, because it's either charity status with company limited guarantee,
Right.
Or community interest company, because community interest company is like the halfway house. Do you get it? Between the company and the charity.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a double registration, it's usually the charity and the company limited by guarantee. But with the company limited by guarantee, it's only when you feel you are adding more services that will warrant you to recruit employees, which means that you are also going to be charging for your services or some of the services.
Okay. Now, the last one is a request. Do you have any link where we can have more information regarding the community interest company? As you give us for the charity status, you say we have to look into the charity commission website.
Charity commission, yes.
Have more information.
With the community interest company, again, you can Google and then you can get some information. But also, I know Sue Quinn used to support, but Sue Quinn currently works with Age UK Milton Keynes. Their office is based in Petrie Bridge, and she used to be the guru of community interest companies in Milton Keynes. She has helped a lot of social enterprises to set up. So she may be able to support you and to give you some guidance there. But thank God for Google and online information. You can get lots of information from that way as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
And of course, with company limited by guarantee is company's house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone have a question, please? Buff.
But if anyone hasn't got, I think if there is no question, I think we're going to thank.
Well, maybe
yeah, carry on.
Yeah, just another request.
Sure.
Is it possible after our research, so if we got more information to ask, is it possible to go back to you? Maybe we've got some follow-up question.
Of course.
Okay.
And also depending, I have found if you do decide to go down the charity registration route, I have found the workers there very helpful. They will usually communicate via email.
Yeah.
That if you are very clear with what you are asking, they will really help you to, formulate, because some of the areas that can be quite tricky is the aims and objectives, which has to match the public benefit. And also the areas around the inclusion, equality. So the good thing is that although you will all have your individual faith or religion or belief, the organization is non-partisan and is not religious, correct?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So as long as it is very clear that is not religious, because when the religious issues comes in,
we need to
then you have some problem with some of the protective characteristics under the Equality Act 2010. We all know how some of our Christian and Muslim brothers and sisters feels about people, transgender, same sex and all those things, which is also against certain religions. So that is where it gets a bit tricky. So as long as you state very clearly that as an organization, you are non-partisan and you are not affiliated or associated with any religious organization. Yeah.
Wow. Is there any question? If it's not, we're going to just really thank Sister Tina for a time to come and just expose all these things to us, for us to just go back and think and see which way to take. Once again, thank you so much, Sister.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And as I think anybody that got any further question, I'm just going to take Sister Sister Tina email, and then you can email her and she will respond to your inquiry.
Yeah.
But once again, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you all. It's been a pleasure. And
it's Easter time, and then
I know
you put yourself available to come and talk or listen to us. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, it's a pleasure. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.